Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on which I speak about astrology, and of course, a Facebook page on which I did prophetic writings for 40 years, and you find that in my description box below. Any other channels or accounts on other media or whatever are not mine, are basically the result of stolen identity, which is illegal by these scripts in 3D. Today we are speaking, God has guided me to speak about spiritual warfare in general because this is very important moment of the Lion's Gate when, as I said, the ascended masters come through for us in our spiritual fighting, and basically a new phase is beginning right now, in which the situational karmic cycle which ended in December last year 2021, beginning with now with the Lion's Gate, it enters into a new phase. It's been since December up to now to August, it's been through different phases of judgment and punishment, of warnings, of giving more tests, more chances, and so on. A process between the divine realm and those who are at fault for creating this situational karmic cycle and maintaining it. Now, from this moment, from Lion's Gate, we enter into a phase in which 3D punishment takes place. That's why my previous video addressed the issue of prosecution and justice and law enforcement in 3D. So at this point in time, God said, just talk about spiritual warfare. This is also a new phase which involves spiritual warfare, but it also involves a more tangible dimension of the spiritual fighting, namely prosecution in 3D. And this has been one of the issues that I have been requesting constantly from God. I said, this is very nice that we're doing this spiritual fighting and we're discovering these gifts, but I would like to see concrete results in material existence in 3D, in our existence. And we begin to see this now, beginning with the Lion's Gate. So God said now, because everybody's entering a new phase, he told me to just speak about spiritual warfare in general. This is such a broad topic, and divine logic and divine timing in this spiritual work, basically, because it involves more than just the war, but also work. Because the spiritual fighting in itself has the purpose, as well as karma and punishment and so on, has the purpose to teach lessons so we will stop the karmic cycles. So these individuals who create darkness must understand there is nothing done by the divine realm just for the sake of it or for revenge. Even the karma and the punishment, it is being created in a totally different logic than the human logic, and it has the purpose to actually teach lessons and do healing, which also means casting out specific type of forces and darkness and so on. So it has the purpose of teaching and recuperating individuals, souls, spirits, and so on. So it doesn't have the purpose of revenge. So God said, you pick and choose what you want to talk about spiritual warfare. And I know this is going to be a more intense confrontation from now on, because, as I said, it's a 3D confrontation, which will enrage the dark forces and the individuals who are determined to continue to work with dark forces and with all this witchcraft. And I experienced this myself, as in the last few days and weeks, particularly since I filed the official complaint with law enforcement regarding some of the things that were done. I have experienced some more intense type of attacks, more diverse, involving more witchcraft and voodoo and so on. So I understand that this is a more intense confrontation, part of the confrontation, but I welcome it anyhow because we have to get through this, and because also anything that I actually wrote about this, anything that happens only in astral, it is open to manipulation by darkness. It doesn't matter what it happens. If it's a confrontation, if it's a fight, if it's a love, if it's a legitimate love, or if it's just a harvesting, everything that happens only in astral basically is manipulated by darkness. And it's very easy to understand how. You can go through my prophetic writings, and I have described all their methods in details, through artificial telepathy, through levitation, through hypnosis, regression, through holograms, and so many, of course, witchcraft, black magic, and sacrifice rituals, and so on. So it's being manipulated. Even if you win today, and this is very frustrating, but I experienced it myself, you win today in astral, and then they create holograms and slander and lies, and they then denigrate also the people who made justice for you. So they create a whole chaos whereby you don't even understand if you won or you lost in the end, because it just becomes a madness, a craziness. So it has to be in 3D so we can actually put an end to it. So because of this, I chose to speak on two issues. Although the spiritual fighting is so broad, and the divine logic, of course, I keep learning about it myself as I go through my spiritual fighting, and it's literally so much different from our logic that it's worth discussing each and every single situation per se, because you cannot generalize also. But what I want to say, there are two things. One is for encouragement, and precisely it pertains of one of the experiences I had in my spiritual journey. And basically what happened was that for my bondage breaking, I had to go to India. And when I left, you can see in my prophetic writings, when I left, I said I will go to India, and then I said I will go to Nepal because they blocked India for me. But before I succeeded to cross the border, they blocked Nepal as well. So I actually didn't get to reach neither India nor Nepal in my spiritual journey, in spite of me going through 12 countries. So it would have been much easier for me to go straight to Nepal because I would have broken all the bondage. But of course, that wasn't the case because they blocked my path. So I had to go through totally different countries. And basically what God has done, and this is why I give you this example, so you will understand how much God is working with each individual in your bondage breaking, and how much is important for you to actually keep close with God, because He will shift and change the strategy every minute, because He sees everything, He hears everything, He knows what plans they have. And for us here in 3D, it takes much longer to understand what happened. I mean, you go to sleep, you're fine, and during sleep time, they do so much witchcraft and attacks at you and programming at you that in the morning you wake up completely blocked, paralyzed, all your resources are stolen, and a totally different situation, right? And it takes a long time for you to clean the energy. It takes a long time to understand what was done, and so on. And many times they create password encoded blockages, so you cannot actually receive the information from the divine realm of what happened. So you can still find out, but it takes too long for you. So this is why God will change the strategy, and you must follow what He says, because He's gonna take you out of out of every blockage that they create, basically. So because they blocked India and Nepal for me, God has taken me to other countries where, as I said in another video, they had copies of similar bondages activated with other people. They do body jumping anyhow, so they followed me anyhow. So God said, they have too much power at this point, and you need to elevate more in order to be able to have access to more information, and to be able to do more diverse type of energy cleanup and energy work and so on. So he took me through different countries, and he helped me break bondage with different individuals with whom bondage was created on me, in different, on my identity. And I want to specify here, it doesn't mean it was created on you individually as a soul. Many times there are others who embody you. They might embody legitimate through divine decision, but there might be also a fake embodiment created through darkness, namely like these copycats. They, don't you imagine, this is something funny. They claim your identity, and basically what they do in your identity, that it's bondage. Like, for example, somebody claims my identity and she goes does prostitution. That's a bondage created on my identity. Not only that I am single, but I'm not engaging with anyone. So this is a lie, of course, but it's a bondage created on your identity. And they create holograms, they create a lot of this is seems very stupid and silly, but it has an impact on spiritual fighting. It basically creates a lot of demons sent to you, which slows you down, which blocks your ability to receive information, or to receive certain gifts, or to receive resources, or so on. Anyhow, this is very important. So all that bondage you must break. You must understand this. Anyone that claims your identity basically creates bondage on you through every thing that they do. Okay? And they do this in order to steal or to block something that it's yours. A gift, a resource, a ranking, so on. So this is very important. So it's a lot of work, basically. This is why we need prosecution in 3D. And basically God took me through different countries where to break bondage on individuals with whom bondage was created on me. Most of it been unbeknownst to me. So I was not even present, but they created it, so I had to break it. And at some point, they succeeded to block me in Peru, Lima. I just couldn't move. I was trying, and every time when they would block me, God would direct me to a different location. God would say, okay, we intended to break next bondage in Nepal, but because they blocked your path, let's go to Africa. Then they blocked Africa for me. God said, okay, let's go to Asia. They blocked Asia for me. Then God said, let's go to Canada, because there's bondage created on you and your father there. I couldn't go to Canada. I can tell you this is so stupid, because basically I had a passport. I don't need visa with my passport to enter Canada. And I had someone who was paying for my ticket to get there. And still I couldn't get there. I'm not going to enter into details and give explanations and so on. I'm just telling you the easiest things which would come naturally and will be naturally solved, basically you cannot achieve even those when they succeed in blocking you. And you just need to keep the faith and to understand that God will find a way. You must understand this. God will find a way. And that was, at some point I was desperate in Lima, because I was also running out of money. It was towards the end of the spiritual journey, so it was almost a full year since I was on the road. And also COVID was close by, striking, and I entered into panic, because I was like, okay, now everything will be closed up, all hotels, all motels, everything, even the food stores, and it's me and Lucky, and forget that we don't have money, but even if we have money, we have nowhere to go. And we are on a different continent. So I was a little bit panicked at some point. And God told me, you must go to Nepal now. But because they closed Nepal to me, God took me to Mexico. And literally what happened at the time, because I asked God, how come I'm going to Mexico? And God has shown to me that basically what God has done, He has changed the astral space of that country, literally. And He brought into that country an individual who was carrying the embodiment of the identity with whom I had to break bondage so I can be safe. So God can change anything. This is what I mean to say, and this might be useful to you when you are in a very, very bad situation and you think there is no way out. God will work with you as long as you keep your faith and you stay there and you wait for Him to deliver to you. He will even change the identity of a country. He will even bring people from abroad to that country to work with you, since you cannot get to that country, to the specific country where you're supposed to go. So basically, I am telling you, there were individuals with whom I was in dialogue at the time. And after I entered Mexico, actually, they contacted me and they said, we were in astral researching, and we understand that the astral space of Mexico now has been changed. So everybody learned. It wasn't just me. Actually, people with whom to whom I never spoke, I never told this, they found out. So it's not something that I imagined, Other people, because sometimes there are these miracles which happen that it's so amazing that you cannot believe it, And of course, it's just you and God. And then you're like, okay, am I dreaming? Is this real? What the fuck is going on? And of course, but this is why I'm telling you. Then I actually had people from outside of the country who were contacting me on Facebook and were telling me this. And I said, I know, because I just got to Mexico. And I have a spiritual purpose here that I came with. So I know it was changed. But this was a confirmation to me, because I was somehow, I had faith, of course, but I was like, okay, this is just too much to believe that this is happening. And still it happened, and I met the individual that God has brought into that country specifically for me, in order to meet that individual and to break the bondage. Don't you imagine I met the individual and it was something, we had a bondage to break. We encountered each other for a few days. We recognized each other, actually, and he was carrying the identity of my father, of course we split afterwards. I'm not even going to talk about what kind of bondage, what happened, and so on. This is not the purpose, and for each individual the situation will be different. But what I mean to say is that you must keep the faith, specifically when you have very tough situations, because God will find a way. God will find a way, even if it doesn't seem that there is a way, So you have to remember that God can change anything, but He will do it when certain situations are met. And this is the second issue that I want to talk about in spiritual fighting, because also, although it doesn't seem connected with what I said so far, it's very much connected, and you will see how. When I started the spiritual fighting, when these brutal attacks started at me, for some reason, I always had God with me, right? And God always spoke to me throughout my entire life. And attacks on me started like 7 or 8 months before, even more than that, I think a full year before the surprise attack. Right? But it wasn't so bad. I could manage it in spiritual fighting. I had the sword of light. I could defend myself, and many times, I because it was getting more and more intense, more and more dramatic. So sometimes, of course, I was because I was all alone in this, and I didn't have anyone to speak to. I would just that, you know, there were a few prayers which I always had, and one of them was my prayer to God, and basically I would always ask him, just please never let go, just don't let go of me. I don't know what the fuck is going on, and I don't know what I'm living through. Just please don't let go of me. Just don't let go, and I promise somehow I will make it through. Just don't let go. And so this was very important to me, and God will always had, this was every night when I would go to sleep, and God will always had a way to show me, I'm here, I'm not letting go, just make it through. You make it through because I'm not letting go, just stay here. um, and then of course, throughout the year, the attacks were stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. um, and at some point the surprise attack happened, right? And as it happened, basically they used a lot of witchcraft. Therefore, my sword of light was not helping as much in defending myself, because it was a totally different register of attack. It wasn't a normal attack that I was accustomed to. And so I left the house, and I went to church to pray in the middle of the attack. I just took my car and I went to church to pray. I went to a monastery, and I prayed. So I spoke to God, and God basically was the first time in my life when He cleaned a little bit of the darkness that they sent at me. And of course, I talked to Him. I was very upset. I was mostly blaming Him. And God just looked at me and God said, Dana, you must fight. You must learn how to fight this. Um, and then He turned around and He left, right? So suddenly I felt I don't have protection anymore. This is what I thought, because the attacks were reaching me to an extent that never happened before. And God, instead of staying with me and talking to me, He turned around and left, and He just told me to fight, and He left. And I was like, oh my God, He betrayed me. I was so upset. I cannot imagine. At some point, of course, the monastery closed, so I had to go home, you know, and the attack started again. The surprise attack started again. Um, what I have to say is that throughout everything that followed, this was June 2018, yeah, and throughout everything that followed since then, I went through horrible experiences and multiple surprise attacks sent at me. And every time, you know, I would get upset with God, and I was like, why you let them? Why you let them? And I remember in 2019 in spring, during a surprise attack, basically I told God, I said, I claimed justice, judgment, and punishment. You have to punish them. You cannot allow them to do this again. And basically, God said to me, Dana, I do not negotiate with Satan. This is something that actually He taught me a long time ago when somebody came to propose something to me. One of these attackers, actually a woman, she was sending Lilith to me. And God has taught me this in the first few lessons, you know. He told me then to, in January 2018 or something like this, He told me then to answer to her, Doris, I do not negotiate with Satan. And He actually told me this, you never negotiate with them. No matter what they offer you, this is Satan's way. You never negotiate. You have your own position, you stand on your position. This was one lesson that He always gave me. So in spring 2019, when I told Him, you have to defend me now because I fought, I claim justice, judgment, and punishment, so you have to punish them, you have to take them away. So basically at that point, God has said the same. Dana, I do not negotiate with Satan. Go and fight. So that was heartbreaking for me. That was heartbreaking for me. I didn't fight for a few minutes. Actually, I just cried because I was very upset, because I figured this is very unfair and unjust. And I called Jesus to come, you know, so Jesus came and calmed me down. And he told me, you need to stay in quiet and to close your mind and so on, and you start fighting and anyhow, time passed by, and then I went on the spiritual journey and so on. Each and every time when I would be under strong attacks, since June 2018, continuously, always, God will detach himself, and that was saddening to me, and it was totally different than I was used to before. I actually said to Jesus, I don't really like them too much to be this warrior, because I don't feel loved anymore. You just sent me to fight, and we don't have the same connection with the divine realm like before. This is different. And every time God would just detach, and he would just be on observer's position, right? And many times he would say to me, this will teach them a lesson. You'll do well. Don't worry. And I was like so enraged and furious at him. And I was like, I don't need your encouragement. I need you to protect me, because I'm not guilty and they are lying. And he was like, just go ahead and fight. And this was very frustrating, but I made my peace with it, because I figured, probably now I'm a warrior, and then we don't share that much love anymore. So probably this is how you're supposed to be a warrior, because emotions open up your energetic field so much. So then probably I will only be able to have our old relation back when I get back to 5D. But this year, so I broke the generational curses, the situational karmic cycles in December last year. God congratulated me and so on and so. And this year in spring, I was claimed by one of my opponents. He said, that he wants me to be his dominion. He wants my energy. He claimed my energy. He claimed me, something like this, because it was not even shown to me. It was not even shown to me. And God, this was shown to me, that God has claimed me. It is the first time since I started my spiritual fighting in 2018 that God actually stepped up and he said, she belongs to me. Your claims are null. So this was the first time since I started my true fighting when God claimed me. Up until now, he always just told me, go and fight. Just go and fight. And I figured I have to give up, our old relation. I figured everything changed now. But I understood this spring that he does this until you succeed to defeat their claims. Because this is what a claim is. They may claim at you that you belong to them, right? And what God does, first of all, you must prove that it's not true. So you must stand your ground, you must fight for yourself, and you must break all of that. Once, according to astral rules, you have proven that, God will claim you again. So I share this with you just so you will know that if you're in doubt and everything seems lost, and God is going quiet on you, just so to know that it means you're in that period of time when you have to prove yourself, when you have to stand your ground, when you have to earn your ranking, your position, and so on. Sort of, you can say that you are during the test time. You can say that as well. God has shown to me, for example, that in 2019 spring, when he said, I do not negotiate with Satan, and he didn't want to discuss with me because I was upset. I didn't talk to him anymore. I talked to Jesus. And I told Jesus, I said, it's not normal what he does. What if Satan claims me all my life? Now what's he going to do? He's never going to step up for me. So I was very upset. And God has shown to me what I wanted was for you to gain authority in their face. Because this is like children bullying in school's yard, when you have to actually earn the respect or even the fear of the other one. of your opponent to leave you alone, because if your parent comes to step up for you, then he's gonna find you alone at some other time and he will do it again. This is, I think, important for me. That was the victory. I was praised, and I received many awards and ranking and gifts and rights, and I received many promises for much abundance and so on. But I told Jesus, I think for me that was the moment when I won, when actually God claimed me publicly again. That means I proved everything that I had to prove. If God once again started claiming in public, that means I won all that was important for me, and I proved all that I was supposed to prove, so they will have no legitimacy. I know this is crazy. We still have lots of multidimensional and complicated fights to carry on. I know you guys keep saying that you're going to give me this and that and that, and I will do this and that and that. But for me, that was the victory, when actually God publicly claimed me again. When he didn't just tell me go fight and turned his back to me, but he actually stood there, and he actually disregarded the other one and just said, she belongs to me. So for me, it was an amazing feeling, and it was really like I got back the way I knew him, so it was absolutely amazing, the most rewarding experience possible. So I'm just sharing this with you, so you will understand, because you will go through many situations, and I know from experience that many times you start doubting yourself, everyone, even God, if he will come through or not, because you think to yourself, maybe I made some mistakes, and because of this now he doesn't want to come anymore, or something. So you get to doubt everything when you go through these experiences, and particularly when you go through the dark night of the soul. But I'm sharing this with you just so you'll know. Keep in mind that I started this spiritual fighting in June 2018, and we are now in 2022. So a number of years have passed until I got to hear God saying that he claims me and that I belong to him. Okay? So it's going to take time. And now that God claimed me, doesn't mean I don't have spiritual fighting to carry on anymore. It just means that type of attack is not possible at me, even if they try, because it was decided in the divine realm that I proved myself and that they cannot claim me. But so you still have spiritual fighting to carry on, but it has a very deep meaning, to me at least. Of course, it matters what kind of value you put on things, and that is individually based. But to me, that meant the world. To me, that meant that I received back most important things that I had in my life before this started, actually. And so I'm going to stop here because it's 33 minutes and it takes too long to upload videos. I just share this information because we're entering in a new phase where we will overlap spiritual fighting with 3D pursuit of justice. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be a time of more intense attacks, and bondage breaking, it never ends, because as long as they are alive, they keep creating bondage. So this is an ongoing fighting that we have to do, and I guess we will finish it when we actually create the ascension, and we leave this 3D thing. So there's going to be spiritual fighting always, but I hope that these two informations which I gave to you, these two examples from my own experience, will help you in times of need, and will help you understand that during a specific time of your spiritual fighting, God is going to keep quiet because there's a number of tests which you must pass. There's certain authority which you have to gain. And when you gain authority, God will not show up there, even if He helps you. He will help you through other people, but He will not have a very direct interaction with you during the fighting. I mean, throughout these years, God did come to me and taught me a lot of things. He taught me a lot of energy work and healing. He's an amazing source of information. I cannot explain. He's gonna give you about anatomy of the body, about recipes, what to drink, what to eat, what to do, and I cannot explain to you. He's absolutely amazing. But he will not come during a confrontation, which is critical in building up your authority in astral, because that is you're supposed to get on your own. Okay, so I hope this will help individuals. Also, I hope this will help those individuals who go through punishment, the karmic ones, just in case they decide to reconsider and return to God and do redemption. I hope this will help them understand that they are in situations in which many of them are claimed by darkness. And therefore, God cannot come forward at them in the same way as He does go to an individual who proved himself. There's a certain number of spiritual fighting and clearing of the karma that an individual must do to gain authority in front of that force which claims him, in order for God to come forward and actually be able to speak. And I gave you I think the perfect example, and I believe this should be something very useful to those who are in karmic situations or are under very brutal attacks as a result to witchcraft, to sacrifice rituals like I was in 2018, and so on. So I hope will help everyone understand that there are circumstances in which, even if you don't see God, it's just a test of your of your faith, that God is still there and is still helping you. I have many other examples to give, but it's just for now it's already 37 minutes. So I'm gonna stop here, and probably I will talk about this in other videos about other examples. I hope this helps you, and I hope you'll remember this in the moments of confrontation with darkness.